Hello there, you join us here today on a very unusual circumstance for a game start. The first thing and most standout thing of them all probably is that it's turn 116 and we have what? 8 to 10 cities? Across a Canadian southern polar expanse? Why is that? Well, I've been going back through my many games that I have saved, especially the latter ones because I try to save in a format that allows me to do these videos more easily. And what I want to show you is that while there are a bunch of them that have the same game kind of like categorized so that I can kind of filter through to the parts I want to show, there are to the older games where I was more just playing for fun and only playing Diplo games, quite a few like just 1 or 2 or like not even very many games for each sort of like campaign that I did. And what I've been going through and doing is sifting through these older saves to try and find games that I could salvage. What do I mean by salvage? Well, in my particular circumstance, I have a lot more diplomacy games since I played diplomacy well before I started making these videos. And I have quite a few culture games to work with. I can make quite a few of those videos. But when it comes to science and religion, I'm basically fresh out. So what I've been doing for a lot of these older games is trying to find games like this that have Yerevan in them and a relatively earlier, even though 116 is quite late time, to kind of like hijack and redirect from being a diplomacy game to being a religious one. Why? Because I, in twofold, want to show the power of Yerevan and truly believe in the power of Yerevan, that it is the only thing you really need to win a religious game. There are so many things in this game that we're not going to be able to have access to. We did not choose to get mosque, instead we chose to get pagoda, because again it was aimed for a Diplo game, not a religious one. So we don't have extra charges. We also don't have extra charges from Hagia Sophia, because that was too late and we didn't bother to actually build it. We already have the Hagia Sophia buttress tech, but we do not have the ability to build Hagia Sophia because it's already been taken. So we don't get any additional charges. We also are in the process of trying to get Moksha. We haven't even recruited him yet. We've recruited Yang, who I used to like more than I do these days, and all these other governors, instead of going hardline, beeline for a Moksha victory. If anything, this is a challenge run, you could argue, because a lot of things that I would normally put in place for a religious game are not going to happen. We're not going to get the second promotion from Moksha, even though I do try. We are not going to get additional boosts. We're not going to get additional charges. Well, one thing that we can work with is Yerevan. And to get Yerevan, I immediately reassign Amani, who is max promoted, by the way, to get to Puppeteer, to make sure that we stake our claim and retain our hold of Yerevan. This game is actually having us continue with Bandar Brunei because we didn't care so much about faith. However, we have built a ton, primarily for the pagodas, of holy sites. So we're in pretty good shape when it comes to our general basic faith economy and our faith start of over 2,000 because I just wasn't using it. This is a game that I have come back to after a long time, learning more about the game, learning about other win cons other than just diplomacy, and I'm using as a vehicle and a way to show off how to win a religious game. I hope you enjoy it and look forward to more. So one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't quite say already was in the religion, we didn't get mosques, but we did get Dance of the Aurora. So our faith economy, as I mentioned earlier, is really strong. We did also get Holy Order. That's something I tend to just get generally, because I've talked about it before. All the other candle options, as it were, I'm not a big fan of. Holy Order is quite powerful, even if you're only planning to get a few apostles. So I tend to get it pretty much regardless. There's a lot of decisions that I make, like Pagoda and even Work Ethic, that are situational, and then there's a lot of there are a lot of options that I pick generally universally, no matter what my aim is, like Tithe and Holy Order. Anyway, it means that, of course, in these lands of frozen tundra, we are quite bountiful with our faith. But I do also want to mention, of course, that this is indeed a deity game, even though it's from eons past, and an online speed one at that, because I've been playing those sort of conditions with all the other factors like, disaster level 4 and monopolies, corporations, and civic tech shuffle, and all of that good stuff. I've been doing that sort of thing for a long time, so it's not really any different in that regard. So, as to Wilfried Laurier's kit, he has quite a lot of text, holy moly. Let's see how much of this is actually useful or relevant for us, shall we? The Last Best West. I remember looking at this when we did our last video with Last Best West video with Wilfried Laurier, with the post-apocalyptic giant death robot nonsense, going, yes, that's how to typical convenient name, talking about the last on Earth if we're going to be in post-apocalyptic. That thankfully is no longer the case, but let's have a look at what it does. Allows farms to be built on tundra terrain, which we are definitely making advantage of, which is very useful, very special to Canada. After civil engineering is unlocked, farms can be built on tundra hills. Well, that's kind of no different, except for the tundra aspect to a regular civil engineering unlock. In snow tundra, snow hills and tundra hills, all mines provide +2 production, lumber mills provide +2 production, camps provide +2 food, farms provide +2 food, and strategic resource accumulation rate is 100% faster, or +100%. Reduces the purchase cost of tiles in these terrain types by 50%. So you're definitely incentivized to be on tundra, and you tend to get a tundra start whenever you're playing as Canada, because, at least you won't need to worry so much about your food or production, which are arguably the fundamentals of any city. 4 Faces of Peace. Cannot declare war on city-states or surprise wars. So any city-states are completely barred from any form of attack. Surprise wars cannot be declared on Canada. For every 100 tourism per turn, earned 1 diplomatic favor per turn. That's quite the terrible conversion, but hey, I guess it's better than nothing. Receive plus 100% diplomatic favor from successfully completing an emergency or scored competition. And then Mountie, Canadian unique modern era unit, can create 2 national parks. Oh my. I need to remember that for if we ever do a culture game. That's pretty powerful, because nationalists, or is it naturalists? I always get them confused. Only do 1, of course. And it kind of doesn't make any sense to be buying a naturalist for quite a lot of faith, which is a much harder currency to usually barter with, and you can't trade for, than buying a Mountie. And, doing it that way, more efficient. +5 combat strength when fighting within 2 tiles of a national park. Okay. Additional +5 combat strength when fighting within 2 tiles of a national park you own. So any national park, and then additional for your own. Okay. Ice hockey rink. Unlocks the builder ability to construct an ice hockey rink unique to Canada. We were recently doing Robert Bruce Scotland and their golf courses. +1 amenity, +1 culture for each adjacent tundra, and this one works fairly similar to that. Tundra hills snow and snow hills tile. Yeah, for each of those tiles. Provides tourism from culture once flight is unlocked, +2 food and production once the professional sports civic is unlocked. That's quite late into the game, but it's still good. +4 culture if adjacent to a stadium building. That's a lot. Though stadium is kind of heavy commitment. Can be built in tundra, tundra hills, snow, and snow hills. 1 per city, just like the golf courses. And Sweden has something as well. And +2 appeal. Yeah, I mean, that's very cool and all. Religion tends to be its own kettle of fish. I find, while certain things like Yerevan are very important for religion, they very rarely are civilization leader packages that actively benefit you in a religious victory. This one does a lot of good stuff that helps you build an empire. You know, more production, more food, more culture, and so on. But none of this is oriented around any sort of religious victory at all. So we'll see what we do to make the most of it. So, of course, one of the first things we need to make sure that we get on top of when we're making such a transitional shift from one win con to another is making sure that our government reflects that. We have theocracy instead of monarchy, which would benefit us if we were doing Renaissance walls for diplomatic favor. And also the policy cards. This policy card, for instance, is really cool. It says extra faith, it's called simultaneum. Extra faith from buildings and holy sites, plus 50% if city population is 15 or higher, which isn't the case in most of our cities, granted. But with Dance of the Aurora, plus 50% if district has at least +4 adjacency bonus, well, that's basically every city. So really useful to get that in there. We haven't built apostle units to go to war yet. But this is one to bear in mind that we will be shifting to when the time is appropriate for it. Which is religious orders, all religious units, apostles, and even gurus and missionaries and inquisitors, all of them, get +5 combat strength, which is, you know, not small, nothing to shake off, in theological combat. And don't forget, to even further boost and attune our entire empire towards religion and faith, we should make sure that we use these very powerful filters to focus on faith production. So if we do that for every city, and take off ones that are not necessary for other things, this has both culture and food, instead convert it to faith, you can see that as we do this for every city, that number is going up. It was 285 per turn. However, with these changes, it is staggering just how much more faith per turn we can ensure that we are generating from our empire. But that still have some way to grow. So yeah, 320 from 280. That's like +40 total faith generation. Plus the 20 odd faith from the government. Plus 60 faith per turn generation. Just through simply small adjustments that can easily be made. Worth taking note of. And so we have set off on our pilgrimage. There's no point waiting for Gardo while trying to get Moksha all the way up to the top. It's gonna take way too long, and we're gonna have a lot of faith just sitting, stockpiling, doing absolutely nothing in the meantime. We may as well get to work. We have Yerevan. Amani has indeed arrived. We may as well make the most of it while we can. And what I've been doing to make up for the lack of 2 promotions, you know, like most of these units, I would want them to be both a debater, all of them to be debater, and then all of them to be proselytizer, probably. And then if I'm running out of effective charges, maybe then make some pilgrim and proselytizer instead and protect them with my debaters. But in this case, we have either debaters with a bunch of charges, or we have a bunch of proselytizers which are making their way up here trying to conquer and convert various regions. And speaking of conversion, we have indeed taken our first region in the Indian Empire, the one closest to us. So we've now met all of our 7 civilizations, the last one being, of course, Jadvaga, and we have a much better understanding of the world around us. We know where we need to go. We know that to the north and to the east is mostly where our journey will be headed. We have, in the meantime, been able to secure our 3rd civilization in China, having completely conquered the religious disputes from any other invasive powers. To the north of that is Korea, and they have their own religion in Eastern Orthodoxy that we're going to need to contest. So it's important that we continue to fight with our debaters going north. A mere 10 turns have passed, and so much progress has been made in that time. As you can see, we have now spread our religion all the way through Poland. Every single Polish territory, at least that we can see, is converted. And pretty much all the Mapuche territories are converted as well. That is represented by our progress bar here. We still have little bits of Japan to have to get through. It's a little all over the place between this continent and the other one. And they do have their own religion as well as their own apostle units that we need to be careful of. We've almost finished the game, very close now, and we have acquired ourselves, just before the end, a golden age. But unfortunately, something to note, golden ages really don't offer anything for religious victories. I don't know, maybe the spies being better and quicker will allow us to get more money that would indirectly help our empire and therefore boost our ability to make more faith. But like, these are military-based, domination, science, and culture. And this is spies. This is like the most we can look forward to getting for getting a golden age. And you do get quite, often golden ages for converting particularly the first city of each religion's origin. So it isn't that difficult to get a golden age with religion, but the rewards just aren't there. And I would like and hope that future Civilization games give you options for every direction that you can go in the game. The beauty of the game is so many directions to go in, but some of them feel a little half-hearted or anticlimactic when you get something like this and you don't really have anything to go for. But hey, let's go for Bodyguard of Lies anyway, shall we? And so it has come down to this. We have made our way across the globe. We have converted everybody that we have met. Lastly, in Paris, the capital of Eleanor's France, to convert one last time.
We have a basic need to believe in something greater than ourselves. We crave solace in the darkness, a light unto our path. Thanks to you, we found meaning amid the cosmos.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. And if you did, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you then.